How's it going, everyone? Today's video is going to be part 5 of the HellRAM. Sorry, I had to think about it for a minute. There's been a few of these episodes, but it's going to be part 5, I believe, of our return back to stock. And really, there's not a whole lot left to do. So everything's been pretty much put back to stock. If you guys haven't checked out the previous episodes, the previous 4 episodes, check those out. I'll put them in the description below, but we took the truck from almost 11-second truck. It was 12.1 seconds it ran on the quarter mile, and now we're putting it back completely to stock in order to start the next project. So anyways, we've pretty much accomplished all that now. Everything from suspension, it was lowered, and exhaust and supercharger, it's all come off now. And the only thing left right now is just some gauges and put the stock tune back in it, and she should be ready to fire back up and be in the stock form. And also, some people joked around about this little stubby antenna here. We do have to change that as well. So those few things, but let's get right into it. I'll show you guys the gauges we have to remove, and then we'll keep going. So like I was mentioning, everything's back stock. You guys have been following along, already know. Stock engine, we're gonna clean it all up, of course. But I do still have this wire here. I think this is it. Yeah. This was for the wideband 02. So I'm gonna have to, it looks like I have some electrical tape or whatnot holding it, fastening it. But I'm gonna have to remove that because we have to take the wire out. It's because it's running to the gauges over here. So I got the 2 Aem gauges, Aem air fuel and the Aem boost gauge. Both these have to come out. And we'll be replacing it with the stock gauge pillar. I actually, my good friend, my good buddy Omar, who you guys might have seen on the videos before, he had it in his truck and decided to put it in the back of his bed of his truck, and it flew out. So I had to buy a new one to replace this. Wasn't sure if we were ever going to have to replace it, but lo and behold, I have to replace it. So I got some wires running through here, fuse, whatnot. And we have the harness and stuff. So it's kind of dark down here, honestly, and there's not too much excitement to be had down here. I just this is all the wiring for those 2 gauges. They give you a pretty big excess of wire, and I had it bundled up there. And really all there is those gauges are going to a ground, and they're going to a power source that I tapped into over there from what I remember. It's behind here. I think I tapped into a power source. So I'm just gonna disconnect those 2 and then we'll get this all out, but let's remove this. And if you guys ever decide to install one of these Autometer dual gauge pods, it's really a good fitment. So I guess I should probably show you guys that before I remove it. It was a nice touch. I know some people get ones that screw onto the original, but the color match is good. You guys can see the fitment is excellent. Even along the windshield and down here in the dash, like it fits just like stock. I will say that it takes a bit of finesse to get it in there because the plastic is kind of a cheaper plastic, but once you get it in there and you get it situated, it really does fit nice and sit well. And these gauges are top of the line. If you guys haven't seen these, see this little thing right there? And the same on that right there. Those are light sensors, so they actually automatically dim. So it's really cool. So you don't have to worry about them blasting you in the face or being too bright. They'll automatically dim. If you turn a cabin light on, like in here, they'll brighten up. And, you know, if you go under a tunnel, they'll go dim. It's pretty cool the way they work. You don't have to sit there and mess with tying them into the dimmer switch on your vehicle. They just do their own thing, and they work really well. But let me remove this Phillips screw and pull this down. So here's all the connections to the gauges. You know, not that you guys care too much about the connections, but I just want to show you one thing. So I did end up doing this, if you guys recall. We use these push to connect fittings, and this is why, like, we don't have to deal with like hose and barb like that situation. You just push the end. You push the blue retaining clip. If I can do this with one hand, probably can. And boom, it just pops off. So this was my boost pressure gauge. And we're going to keep these gauges because we're obviously, it's Boosted Motorsports, you guys. We're going to be boosted on something. So we're going to keep that, and the rest of these, we'll just wiggle these out. Boom, boom, boom. And that's it. It's free. So now I'm just going to get rid of this rat's nest of wiring. Like I said, nothing too exciting. Pretty dark down there. I'm just going to pull it out and I'll show you how much wiring I had to yank out of there. Because like I said, they give you a lot of excess, and it's not something you want to cut because they have connectors on both sides, and having to repin them or join them in the middle, it's just not worth it. And like I said, we're going to be using them on the next project, so I don't want to shorten them for one specific vehicle and then end up having to lengthen them again. So let me pull this stuff out and then I'll show you what's next. Okay, so most of it is out right now, and hopefully we can see with the light, but what I do feel obligated to show you guys is where I tapped into for my positive power lead. So there's this panel right here that pops off, and it's not a very heavy gauge wire, but enough to run the gauges. Is this one right here. So I don't even know what color this is. I'm half colorblind, but it was in this stack here, and it was one that I just probed, and yeah, it runs off ignition. I think it's a pink wire. Why am I so colorblind? Let's find a flashlight for a second. This one got some juice, good old Harbor Freight light. There we go. Let's see what color this thing is. Yeah, so it looks like a pink wire with a yellow tracer. So hopefully you guys can see that. So pink wire with a yellow tracer is the one that I tapped into if you guys are ever looking for a power source. So pink with a yellow. That one's switched with ignition. And yeah, I tapped into that one there so that we had power to the gauges with ignition without hunting too far. I was hoping to get it out of this stack here because it was convenient, but ended up finding one over there. But anyways, you guys, this stuff is pretty much out. So the dual gauge pod is removed. We got the gauges removed from the gauge pod so that we can sell that gauge pod. And here is all that wiring that I was mentioning, as well as the boost line that went to the manifold, and all that stuff's removed. So now we're probably gonna step into the vehicle and we'll load up the stock tune. So I'll show you guys how to do that with the HP tuners. And I'm just waiting for the replacement cover to come in, which should come in tomorrow. So let's go ahead and load up the HP tuners. So here we go, guys. We have the HP tuners loaded up on the laptop. And what we're gonna do is go up here to this little file folder here with our cursor, wherever it ended up. So we're gonna click on that. And once that opens, then we're gonna go ahead and find the tune that we want. And in this case, it's stock backup HPT. So I have that tune opened. Next, I'm gonna go ahead and connect this to our OBD2 port, the MPVI2, just this little unit here. You guys have probably seen it. And the other end of the USB is gonna go into our computer. And now we're gonna go ahead and turn on the ignition to run. And it's pretty simple, you guys. So see this little icon over here with this chip with the arrow? And if you hover over top, it's gonna say right vehicle. We're gonna click that. It's gonna pop up with this. We're gonna write calibration to the ECM, and we're gonna write the calibration to the TCM. If you wanted to skip either one, you'd click this drop down, do not write, but in this case, we want to overwrite the engine tuning and the transmission tuning. So we're gonna click write, and that's pretty much it. We're gonna let it run. So you can see here, it's writing, so we're gonna let it run through. One of the things with this, you guys, is if you guys have ever tuned these vehicles, there's a sequence in the middle of the programming where it'll ask you to cycle the key. So it'll tell you to turn it off, wait 10 seconds, turn it back on, and then hit OK. And that's just part of the tuning process. You'll have to do that both with the engine flashing and also with the TCM. So the ECM, when you flash that, you have to do it, and you have to do it again with TCM. So the engine side of things really goes fast, like you guys can see. We're already pretty well halfway through. So this thing is pretty quick as far as getting stuff done. I can't imagine that you would typically be in a hurry doing this, but if you were in a hurry, it really doesn't take long. You guys are gonna see it from start to finish. We'll just let it run. But if you guys have any questions on any of this stuff, be sure to ask in the comments below. It's pretty cool stuff. You can do a lot of different things with it. So this is coming up to the part where I was telling you we're gonna have to cycle the key. So look, turn ignition, 10 ignition on, and click OK. So here we go. We're gonna turn ignition off. We'll let that run for about 10 seconds. And once we turn it back on, then we can do this. So that's about 10 seconds. We're gonna cycle the key twice, 2 clicks to run. We'll go back here, we'll click OK. So you can see the engine side of things is completed. And it's about to write to the TCM, transmission control module. I swear the dinging will go away in a second, but that's kind of what we gotta do, is stand in the door here to do this. We could jump in, but it'll stop dinging once it starts writing the code here. So this one really doesn't take that long either, you guys. So same thing. It flies through in about, I want to say less than a minute, it'll get it done. The longest part of this is probably cycling the key. Waiting the 10 seconds and cycling the key. Because the actual write process really doesn't take that long. So I did have the tune in there for the larger injectors and the larger map sensor, which we obviously had to remove it because we put all the stock injectors in the stock map sensor. So we have to switch the tune accordingly. And since we don't have a supercharger on there anymore, yeah, we have to compensate for that, of course. So here's that prompt I was telling you again. Turn ignition off, wait 10 seconds. So we'll hit this, turn it off. We'll wait our 10 seconds. And then we can hit OK. But yeah, so I obviously took off the supercharger and stuff, so the tune is definitely going to have to change in this case. So we can go back over here. We're going to push this twice to run. Like that. And you hear the fuel pump kicking in. We're going to hit OK. And that's it. So it's going to complete like that, you guys. And then you're going to be all set. So that's pretty much it, you guys. And if you want to hear the roar of a stock engine now that she's back stock. That's what I was talking about. The stock mechanical fan spins even when it doesn't need to. So that's one of my biggest pet peeves, is having the mechanical fan roar like that when you first start it. It always seems to spin with the engine for a little bit and then kind of slow down for whatever reason. But yeah, you can see the mechanical fan spinning like a propeller on the front of an airplane. So, but she's all back stock, you guys, sounding good, and almost ready to see her final day. So we did finally get stock A-pillar handle in. I just have it here because I was test fitting it. I got it online because, like I was mentioning, my original one, my buddy did me a favor of having it fly out the back of his truck. So this is pretty much installed. You just, I mean, I can take it back off if you guys want, but it just pushes into place like so. There's one speed clip, and then it's just 2 10mm bolts that hold it in place. So once you pop these 2 lids open, it's the 2 10mm. So I'm gonna go ahead and put those 2 10mm in, tighten it down, and she's pretty well done. So there we have it. Stock A-pillar handle is back in and finished. And that's pretty much it, you guys. She is now a stock truck. And it's really not much. Actually, the only thing is the bulbs, but I mean, besides that, this truck is now bone stock. Okay, you guys, so I hope you did enjoy this video. If you did like it, make sure to give it a big thumbs up for me. It helps support the channel and it helps the channel grow. And it helps for us to have projects like this and continue moving. So anyways, you guys, thanks again for watching. We'll see you on the next video. We're almost at a wrap with this truck. I think that's pretty much it as far as putting it back to stock. But, oh, there's one other thing. Hold on. Don't go just yet. The infamous stubby antenna. So I think that's pretty much it. Once I take this off, that's it, you guys. She is now 100% stock. As soon as I put this on, this big antenna mast, that's it. Now I think it's stock. I think it's official. putting this on. It's now stock. Anyways, you guys, thanks again. We'll see you on the next video.